I don't know how much you can hear of the church bells that are going off, and the seagulls, and a couple of girls that are, it's dusk or pretty much night, and they're going for a swim, and that just how warm it is tonight. It's like 19 degrees. Crazily warm. I think it's one of the warmest days of the year, or not so much necessarily figures, but humidity, yes. And I spend it on the bus, on the train. And I'm putting out I have a field, I have a do not fucking bother me field. It works quite well. I generally use it when I'm not working. I admittedly can do it even without the headphones. It seems like the body language just says basically keep the fuck away, because that is how I feel. But it's nice, and I didn't expect. On each of the trips there's always a slightly drunken or very drunken night beach visit. But I didn't expect it to be Lyme Regis. When I said that, somebody with a dog came up, and the dog was very interested in my stuff. But I had a very good fish and chips à la papier. I decided the Cobb Arms is like down on the Marine Parade. It's fucking miles away. Having been here before, I know not to just go, let's go walk down to the Marine Parade, because it's like a mile or half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. It's a long way. And I was like, well, the chip shop's open, and actually I've been spending a lot of money on pub visits, so fuck it. I know, it was very nice. Haddock and chips. My new favourite, actually, haddock and chips. But I've been reflecting. I dare anyone to fucking come near me. Seriously, I fucking dare them. I'm in that kind of mood. I'm actually really upset about what happened to the channel, and kind of like what's been going on with this trip. But the sea is cooling. Well, it is if you go into it. Though actually, after such a warming day, it's very quite warm actually. I'm not surprised there, night swimming, because it is like 19 degrees. There's a bit of a breeze pulling it down a bit, but the sea's probably pretty warm actually. After that scorching day. But why do I like the sea? I was thinking about this, and obviously the noise. I mean, white noise is always good. Don't mean the song by Luna George, but that's pretty good as well. But on the Delia Derbyshire Side project, that's very good. But no, it's that sort of endless white noise, very chaotic but soothing nature of waves, which is a bit like why them and rain are quite often used on sleep apps. But I think it's really that there's a circular motion. It's like you have and this is probably going to sound really wanky, there's motion but it doesn't really go anywhere, because the tide always pulls back and it comes back again, it goes back, comes back again. It never really finishes. And that is very much about time. And I was joking earlier to myself, because no one else interested, that Lyme stands for the land that time forgot. And I think I kind of made that joke last time, but I never really thought of its contraction. Yeah, because I was thinking the Lyme that land forgot, the Lyme that time forgot. Because walking up the main drag, it was like, apart from a sudden interest in milkshakes, there's a sudden mania for milkshakes at the moment, which wasn't really there a year ago. But everything else is like, yep, that shop's there, that shop's there, that shop's there, that shop's there. The Co-op is there, Tesco is there. There's a few empty shops, but mostly it's like the art shops there, and all the shops. I didn't see if Trespass. I think it might be further up. Salt Rock is there. Salt Rock, bane of my existence. Salt Rocket are basically a fashion brand for people who like to pretend to be walking the Jurassic Way but actually don't. They just hang around campsites. There has to be something very wrong with the idea that outdoor shops have become fashion brands, but I suppose you could blame Henry Lloyd and Musto for that, but it's become this thing of saying, oh, I would go walking across cliff tops if I happen to be currently disposed in this pub, and also I'm fat as fuck, and I never make it past the campsite. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I find that really bizarre, because it's like, either you want to be a proper outdoor shop or a fashion brand, but I go into shops going, oh, maybe they'll have some. Oh, they're just a JD Sports or Sports Direct, really. Oh, at least I suppose you could actually use the Sports Direct stuff for sports, but a lot of people just buy the trainers to wear around the hood and don't actually ever go doing any basketball or jogging or whatever. Whereas at least I actually do use the Sauconys on the trail. And I have to say to report that the dousing in the shower last night, they have stopped smelling of cow shit, which is a good start. Because the rest of the trip's become quite shitty. I'm not sure the news about the YouTube thing. It's just like, So as I said, one more major thing goes wrong, I'm going home. Because it's been lots of little things and a fuckload of big things, at least 3. 4 if you count the sunburn, but I kind of expected that. I just stupidly didn't bring any aloe vera, which next time I will. I've got like an expensive tube of it, which is quite small, so I'll probably bring that. But it really just works. Aloe vera works. And witch cream, but they keep putting fucking mess in it. They keep putting alcohol in it. And it's like, why do you put alcohol in something that's supposed to be soothing? It's very bizarre. It's mess. It's fucking methylated spirits. And they put it in skin creams, and it's like, I kind of understand it. It's probably so it is less greasy. But it dissolves itself. I see lights. Oh, there's turning the lights on. Oh my god. I'm not happy about that. I preferred it when it was dark. But anyway. It's quite funny because what the fuck? The bench I'm on is one of the few sea-facing benches. Most of they've spent millions, I think, on redoing the front of it. There's a theatre nearby that looks like a very strange Castilian prison, and then you've got these sort of alcoves, and the reason for that is because obviously the rest of the year, this is one of the few times of the year it's actually nice, and the rest of the time it's just like blasting sea breeze and rain. So obviously people want to be shielded. Most of the benches are shielded like that in little sort of castle-like little rounds, like defensive around a light, huddled around a light. It's like, yes, that's because the rest of the year, it is not like this. It's not 19 degrees and sort of sunny and hot. The rest of the year, it's I've experienced some of that. The fogs here can be something chronic, and we'll see. I mean, because I'm further up on the hill, I think it will be warmer and better at night. We'll find out. Something about that valley, the Cannington Valley, it can get very, especially at Cannington itself, goes right by the stream. Though the stream isn't part of the property, but there's like a stream in the valley that is the aqueduct was running over. It can get quite cold at night. It was like last year. It got down to about 0 or 2. It was freezing. I'm hoping it doesn't do that this time. This time I'm ready. The reason why it isn't because I've got my down. I got my down bag. I got my hash pipe. I don't have a hash pipe. you know. So I'm ready. So that's why it's blisteringly hot. Thanks everyone. You can thank me. It's because Tim took his down bag and his base layers. The reason why you're having this heat wave. If I didn't, it would be freezing as fuck. But it's fine. I'm happy to take those because, as I say, that's what destroyed partly. One of two things are what destroyed Jaunt 2, which was the cold and my backpack breaking. And it's kind of weird being here because I mean, if you remember from last year, I'm actually at the place, about 100 metres from the place I did the Canute Steps things, the King's Canute kind of painting as the tide came in. It was the last thing I did on that project. So it feels weirdly cyclical to do that now if I don't continue. If I do, I've mixed feelings. It's like I'd like to walk the last bit, the Xmas, Sidmouth, that kind of stuff. But it kind of partly depends on the buses, because not only does the first buses fuckerage we had today, with them putting timetables on their site which are old. Great, thanks. So downloadable timetables are wrong. But also, I think I forget the name of them. What the fuck? Is that a child or a seagull? Was it a seagull child? Or was it just Damien? Yeah, seriously, don't come near me. I'm not in the mood. So, we've got the buses issue that I seem to remember from last year, that the main bus company that goes through the area I want to talk to, there is a way of kind of going through Exminster to Exmouth, which is the first buses do, so I can kind of bypass it, I think. But the bit in between is all served by a bus company that doesn't do weekends, or certainly doesn't do Sundays. So I might have to decide whether to stay here for an extra couple of days over the weekend, or bail on the Friday, which is tomorrow. Even though I've bought 2 nights, which is a bit dumb of me, but I was like, I need to, after the news, actually no, it's before that, but I was just like, I need time to distress, I need time to chill out, I need time to not hear screaming children. Would be nice. I need time to just sort of chill out a bit, but whether it's good to do that here on this campsite, I don't know. We'll see. It's not a Yulees and it's not a Cannington. It's annoying because Cannington was my new Yulees. It was like Yulees was getting a bit too infested with children, and because it only runs July and August, it's just all about kids, and it's quite cheap, really cheap food. It's very convenient, but it's really irritating with the children playing in the showers and pissing around and running around in mobs. And it must be great for them, but it's really tiring for people who don't have children to have to put up with their bullshit. The parents have signed up for that bullshit. I haven't. I'm like, control your children, but I kind of understand. Obviously kids want to have space too, but it makes it just a really bit. But it was more the fact that I got the distinct impression last time I went to the barn, which is a posh place, that they turned me away because I didn't fit, rather than they were full. They weren't full, and I went there before the time, and and they were still like, oh no, we can't. And I was like, they didn't say you were full, you said we can't. And I was like, yes, okay. So that's why I didn't go back. And Cannington was supposed to be the new one, with more friendlier people. Oh, that's gone. So I keep reminding myself, you'll find new Canningtons, new Ulysses, new places that you're excited about, but it's a bit like the tide. It goes back, it goes forth, it goes back, it goes forth. It's a cycle, but still there is a sort of a feeling that it's kind of eroding away, and it's kind of like, really? Is that all there is? So, yes. I did get some Prosecco. It was a massive queue for the chips. And I knew that the co-op had these little Proseccos, which I had last year. And so I sort of almost ran to the Prosecco and got back. And actually, I thought, I bet it's going cold and they've called me or whatever. Nope. As I arrived, number 4 was called and I was number 6. Well, so that was good. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. It's just, as I said, you're trying to find a home, you're trying to find somewhere that you feel comfortable and safe and not hassled by, but as soon as you find that place it gets destroyed, so it never lasts. And it's that kind of change that, a bit like the sea on the shore, it's kind of the same but ever changing. So it's probably why I like seas. The sea is because of that reason. I like watching it, and it can't be just a reflection. It's not just an autistic thing, because you don't get any reflection in the dark. It's the sound. But also the reminder that it's like Tempest Fugit, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because it's just going to pull back anyway. If something goes wrong, it's just going to, same shit, different day. But, what a day. But I've had several of these what a days, and that's the problem. It's not just been one what a day. Friday was terrible, falling over was terrible, and then this, it's just like I had 3 of them this holiday. And that's unusual. It used to be one real fuck up, maybe 2. I'd have to look through all of the previous jaunts, all the blogs I've written at tdbaker.co.uk. Obviously jaunt 2 is the one really fucked up big time twice. So I'm making super allowances for this one, partly because of the weather, to be even 3, because on jaunt 2 there was 2 within 6 days, and I was like, fuck this, I'm out. This is just not working. Well, kind of 3. There was the wood stove not working. I took a wood stove, and I was feeding it twigs, and I couldn't even get, because let's be a bit more green. Let's use wood that you find on the campsite, and walks and pine cones. The pine cones wouldn't burn for some reason, and it's like, nope. I took a bit of kitty litter, which is quite useful for the sort of the pellety stuff. That actually works quite well. As you can get very expensive barbecue maple sort of shavings or whatever, but actually I'm probably being gassed by it. But kitty, that sort of, as long as you sort of treat with chemicals, you can just use kitty there as a fuel. But it just burnt too quickly, so you ended up with kind of lukewarm water. You couldn't get anything boiled. I've not tried alcohol stoves. They interest me but scare me at the same time, because of the fact the flame, you could spill the alcohol everywhere and you don't know it's on fire because the flame is invisible. That bothers me, because I've kicked over stoves before now, or they've fallen over. So it happened with the wood stove. It's happened with the not this stove. It's happened with the gas stove. But thankfully, it was the top fell off rather than the thing on the top fell off, rather than it fell onto the ground while it was lit. That would be a bit scary, especially if it's very dry. But yeah, I just come back to the sea. It's soothing and calming, and I drink my Prosecco and dare anyone to come bother me. Luckily they're not. And I'll get cold and then walk back up to Lyme. Luckily it's actually closer. The Hook campsite is closer than Kennington. Probably why Kennington was cheap and also usually available. Which is one of the reasons why I liked it, so it's quiet. There's a few things, but it was quite quiet. There's a community aspect, but it was like, friendly and quiet. But unfortunately, friendly but quiet campsites can't survive. And that's sad because those quiet spaces are getting rarer and rarer. It's all kind of noise and just hyper commercial and kind of like, churn rate and everything. And to actually have somewhere where it was just, you could literally chill out because, well, partly because it's cold. No, but you could actually, there was no stress, and you could, say hello to people and socialise or not, and it was just kind of easy. And also they had fridges there you could use, and you could charge batteries up. That's the kind of thing I wish other campsites would do. Even though the woman at the Huck Farm was being all snooty about saying, oh, well, the showers are medieval and oh, this and that and the facilities. Actually, I wish other places would have a communal fridge and a few places have a communal freezer, which is useful if you want ice, but not so great if you want, just to keep something cold. Like I had venison burgers last night. I actually did manage to find some, but of course I had to buy 4. And then I felt a bit sick after the first 2, so I had to waste the other 2 because there's no way they would have lasted the next day. I did think of feeding the venison burgers to that bitch doe was being really threatening to everybody who had the baby, who had the fawn. That would have been revenge. I didn't do that, but I was very tempted. Anyway, I hate to think how long this has been. It's a very long podcast. I might have to put it out as a separate one, but it's, I needed to have a drink. I needed to try and unwind and think about what I want to do, but I'm in the mindset of just getting it done, and then if I do artwork along the way, that's brilliant, but and also the Pug Farm is £21 a night. Wow. For a site next to an apple tree, it's going to be Wasp City. We'll see how that goes. I mean, they're friendly enough, but that's a lot more than the 15 at Corf. So I'm hoping they're not another Durdle Door situation, because it's something that happens quite a lot with campsites. Something to watch out for. Hey, here actually has some useful information in this podcast. They quite often put you under the trees, and then you get shit on by birds. And so that's the irony. Is like I had my Mac shit on by one of the birds. I was there. It was on top of my backpack, and I was, in one sense, glad that they hit the mat, not the backpack. But I had to then immediately go and wash it. It's like bird shit. But they quite often do that because the caravan and lot don't want their precious cars and caravans covered in shit. So they quite often put the campers underneath it because they don't usually make a fuss as much, they don't gripe as much, they don't do a not sin may about it. But it's naughty. And that was the Durdle Door thing. They try and be romanticised. They always romanticise it. The orchard, the rookery, and it's like, what does rookery mean? You get woken up at 7 o'clock by lots of cawing, and then you get your tent covered in shit. It's not good. So, and also, I was being woken up regularly throughout the night by pelting acorns underneath an old oak tree. Why are you pelting acorns at me? At least I made them. I was like, I'm not going to go anywhere near the apple tree this time. I'm not going to be anywhere near the apple tree. Fuck that. But I can guarantee that when it's warm, wasps, because the rotting apples, the cider apples, but they haven't picked them. They're rotting on the ground, and so I kicked as many of them away from the tent, thinking, oh dear. I mean, it's fine if the wasps stay there, but wasps being wasps, and the fact they've been thrown out of nests, or is it hives? It is red nest, at this sort of time, it's a real fucking pest. I was having a rosé at the Clavel restaurant. I had a rosé, and I was being pestered by a wasp and they started to pester me at Corfu as well. They were fairly hands-off, but you know, when I was packing up, I was being swooped on by a wasp, which did not help my mood. So I was already in a kind of a weird mood anyway, because the packing up just was very exhausting in the heat, more exhausting than usual. It now makes sense when people were saying, "Oh, it's the most humid day and it's one of the hottest days of the year," and kind of makes more sense. But back then I was just like, why is this just what? You know, why am I having to do this all in the shade? You know, and but then of course in the shade you're looking out going, don't shit on my tent, don't shit on my bed, don't shit on my backpack, don't shit on, you know, me. So I think one of the things I need to get is a pie tin. But yeah, if you go to a site, try and avoid the trees. It might seem like a good idea, but then there's also the danger of obviously a limb falling on you. You know, the bits of the tree falling on you. But you know, it's like I've just had a week of just constantly being pelted by acorns, including being hit by an acorn once. And luckily, I never managed to do a hole-in-one into my dinner, but they did fall onto other things, and it was just like you'd hear them in the middle of the night, like, dush, dush. It was either that or moss and flies being buzzing around inside your tent. You know, I'd open it out and try and shake the fly sheet, try and get them out the next day. But unfortunately, you know, by the next day, another lot moved in. It was like, why are you in here? Stupid things, including a very stupid cricket who insisted on staying on. I was like, no, do crickety things elsewhere. You know, just like it was loving the tent. I think because like the green, it was perfect camouflage for it. It was like green. I love this. And it was like, yeah, sorry, not. Oh, and I left my hat in my tent. So when I rolled up my tent, I was like, where's my hat? And I was like, oh, it's in the tent. So I had to have a t-shirt and my hat as a hat all day, which didn't help the look. And then when I saw myself in the mirror earlier in the toilet, I was like, oh my god, how burned are you? You know, it could be that I didn't put enough stuff on because I was in buses and things, but it didn't feel like I was burning very much. But it's possible. Well, it's possible it's like that anyway, so I'm going to end up being quite brown with a white beard, which is not a bad look. It's quite a nice look, but yeah. Not the weird thing is my arms, where I've been pointing, are just pink. They're not gone brown at all. It's all my neck and it's all my neck and my nose and my cheeks. We won't go into that song, but yeah. So, anyway, I'll speak to you soon.